All right, folks. Today is June 30th, 2024. So I haven't done much with coding over the last. I haven't done much with coding over the last couple days or so, and I'm getting back to it. So this week I should be able to do a lot more, but I've been silently working in the background. So if you look here at the chart, this is my Fire Eyes chart. This is a little bit different from the chart that you typically see me using with the 15-second time frame that has all this information here. And again, this is information that has been pulled from the day and recorded using Stream Writer, and then added back to the chart using Stream Reader. So this one here, this chart here, has a little bit more information. And so what I've started doing is going and identifying areas. So again, I'm just looking specifically at longs for the present moment. So anytime when we have a dip, and then that's a potential entry to take another long, looking to see what's happening along this line, what's happening along this line, what's happening at this time or price level. That's an indication to take another long. So, and typically I've seen, like, when you get down to dip here, you have increased number of ticks here, and then you have a smaller number of ticks. So that's so I've got a few ideas for strategies that I want to put together, but it will use all this information. So in order to do that, I've got to take all of these these files, right? So I've got to take all these files from that are using Stream Reader or Stream Writer, and then I've got to either use like a global dictionary, or I've got to use something to look at all these files, and then within each file I'm looking at the certain well, I've got to make a dictionary, and then I've got to have a key for every single bar, and then from that key I'll have all these metrics. It's probably going to be a lot on the system, so I got to figure out maybe how to make this maybe into one. Well, I can't make it into one, because what I found out the other day is, like, when you have this is why I made a copy here, because apparently, like, on this is the original, and I actually deleted everything on there. All right, let's see. No, the copy is the original. Okay, so the copy is original. So if you look at, like, Stream Reader, for some reason, I'm not sure what the number is, but you see I have all this data here. If I scroll down, it's just got a lot of data. That was from back January the 11th, and it goes as far as June 27th. When it gets to a certain number of values, it says that the infinite loop is detected. When there is no infinite loop, but so I believe that there's a maximum number of values that the Stream Reader can use. So instead of keep getting infinite loops and errors, I just had to make a copy and then start over with a kind of a fresh file. So this one only has June 28th data, and because of that, when I go over here, prior to June 28th, so you see here we're on June 27th. June 27th does not have this one nor this one, because I had to restart the file. So I'm not sure if anybody else runs into those types of issues. Like I said, it may be a number of characters, maybe a number of lines. It's something that's causing it to have an infinite loop. So until I find a workaround, this is the workaround. All right, so I'm just going to, so this is just going to be kind of like a redo of the script that I was working on the other day. We'll see if I can put something together for it, and hopefully I don't get stuck like I did before. But again, I haven't actually come back and done anything else with the scripts or anything since working on that script. So hopefully this is, I don't get hung up on it and it runs smoothly. All right. So let's open up the coding environment. We're going to random scripts, and it's 5 minutes time frame. Let's open this one up. We'll turn. This might have been the one that I was working on, but I'm gonna turn it off. Nah, I don't think it was a high or low one. So let's add here. Steady group. The basic chart profile. We actually only need simple volume. Well, we got it all. Take this. I'm going to take some of these things off. Just have the moving averages on here. And no volume? I think I know what it is. Since saving the steady group, I changed the name for simple volume. So now it's this is the name of it, and I guess because I changed the name, it can't reference it properly. Scaling, right axis, subgraph, yes. Okay. This needs to have the right axis. Now turn that off. Okay. All right. We got this coding environment. Okay, so ESO 63024. All right, so, and I forget what day I was actually working on this, but it was essentially looking for, it was a day that the chart was moving up, so it could have been on a day like this, but we're essentially looking for these potential entries. It was something like, oh, I know what it was. I think we're identifying swing highs, and we're identifying swing highs like such and such, or such and such, and then we would take the 2 points and once we got a low below this trend line and the volume was X amount, then we consider that as a potential entry. So I don't think we were on the 5 minutes because the 5 minute time frame really isn't doing that much. So maybe it was like the 1 minute time frame. All right, 9:30. That doesn't look right either. I think it was on like a day like this. All right, so all right, I'll talk to you some, but most gonna be listening to the music, I guess. Alright, so pretty much what I'm saying here is this is a function I created, and it's a function of a swing low with 4 bars ago, and we're assigning that to the value, to the variable of V1. So if V1 is greater than 0, which means that we did find a new swing low, and the swing low is different than the swing low of the bar prior, then we're going to plot at 4 bars ago, because that's the strength of the swing low. We're going to plot the low of 4 bars ago. So here we all have all our swing lows, and actually, we're not even doing the swing low. Did I do a swing high? Swing high? Yeah, I think I made a new function just for the swing high because we're actually looking at the swing highs. All right, there we go. Got that, got that. All right, so now is where we get to the next piece, where we had to figure out if we had a swing high lower than a swing high prior to it, then we would draw a line. So let's do this. So condition 1 is going to be if V1 is greater than V1 a bar ago. Then, so if the V1 is greater, if the swing high is greater than the swing high of a bar ago, then condition 1 is equal to true. I also need to say that, so they get a steady recording of what the most recent swing high is, we have to say V1 is greater than 0 and V1 is different than V1 . If the swing high is greater than 0 and no, I can't use that. So if we don't have a swing low, it's going to be equal to -1. So if we do have a swing high, so if we do have a swing high, it's going to be greater than 0. So we need to say if V1 is greater than 0, then V1 is equal to what V1 was of a bar ago. Okay, condition 1, V1 is greater than V1 of a bar ago. Okay, so then we'll say if condition 1 plot 2 and plot the high. All right, so we're going to take this one away. V1 is greater than V1 of a bar ago. I'm actually changing up the script that I was working on the other day. So this is yeah, I'm actually changing it. So just gotta work through it. Plus, I got my music going, so the music is kind of interfering with my thought process. But I enjoy listening to my music. So all right, if V1 is greater than 0, and V1, well, that's saying the same thing. V1 is greater than 0, and V1 is greater than 0. V1 is negative then. V1 is less than 0. There we go. Study the Cambridge. Alright, so y'all see what we did here? Alright, so here we're looking to see that if the swing high is greater than the swing high of the one before it. So this swing high, there's probably like a swing high here. 1, 2, nah. 1, 2. Yeah, so there was a swing high right here. Swing high right here. But this one did not fire off. Why? Because we don't want to know if we have a lower swing low at this point. We only want to know if we have a higher. Damn it. Swing high. I'm so used to doing swing lows that keep saying swing low. Alright. Alright, so now that we've identified a swing high, now we want to look for the next one to be a swing low. So if condition 1, now we need to look for the swing low. Alright, so So we got a new swing high. Condition 1 is equal to true. So once it becomes true, everything after it is true. Now we have to look for a lower. If V1 is less than V1. Alright, so pretty much what I did here, as I said, that we had a new swing high. If one swing high is greater than the swing high of bar ago, or the one prior, then we start turning the condition on. And then if we have another swing high that's less than the one before it, then we're going to identify and plot this one. And then after every bar, even after we plot, after every bar, we're going to go ahead and make condition 2 is equal to false. And I should say furthermore, if we do find this to be true, then we need to turn off. We need to turn off condition 1. But we need to do that after we plot. Well, it doesn't matter because we're already plotting at that point. I think it'll like this. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so So essentially now we're looking at 2 points where we have this point here and the swing high prior to that, which would be that one. So we want to draw a line. All right, we have this one, and then I guess the prior swing high to it would have to be this one up here. And so we want a line to be drawn. So once we reach that line, all right, so same thing here, that to that. And then this one would be here to here. I mean, it tried to make a run for it. All right, so now we need to identify how many bars ago this last condition 1 becoming true happened. So we're gonna begin. Man, I promise you, I have made this same type of script 1,000 ways. And then I think this is why I said the other day that I need to make this into an actual some type of function so that I don't just keep rewriting it. So let me write that down. That's on my list. Okay. All right, so that's to do later. But in the meantime, when we do get condition 1 equal to true, we're going to begin condition 1 is equal to true, and then we're going to have something called span, which would be plus, plus equal to 1, because condition 1 will be to just continue to be true with every iteration. So now we want to know how many bars ago span happened. All right, so we have span here. And so if this, then we also have to reset span. So we're going to draw a trend line here. We're going to use a legacy version of doing that, which is going to be to have a variable is equal to text new, trend line new, which is TL new, datetime value. Datetime value for both of them. So the datetime value for the first one would be date of how many bars ago? Span bars ago? I think we gotta do span bars ago plus the length of the swing, which is 4, plus 4. And then time is gonna be span plus 4. And then the value, which is the high span. And then we're gonna do date of 4 bars ago. That's my line right there. You see my line? That's my line right there. That line is not accurate. I think this is the next line. Yeah. Okay, so we got the last point, so it is anchored to the correct last point. However, span I think span is coming up as 0. And span should only be resetting to 0 after this happens. But prior to coming into this bar, span should have been adding 1 to it with every bar. Oh, no. Okay, so yeah, gotcha. This one is not right. This one is right though. That one is right. This one. That one is not right either. This one's 1 bar too many. Okay, this one is actually 1 bar too many also, or too few. Because I started this at 1. Once the bar, once the new criteria was met, that became 1. Okay. So we say if condition 1 of a bar go is true. Okay, now we got the right level there. Got the right level there. This guy here, though, what is going on right here? Oh, I think this is this is taking the span from the first time, the first iteration that we had a swing high greater than the swing high before. If we had a swing high greater than the swing high before, we're starting span right there, instead of using the span from the last iteration that the high was higher than the high before it. So so here where we have condition 1 is equal, condition 1 of a bar goes is equal to true. Condition 1 of a bar go equal to true starts back here and it keeps on up here. So we need to say so we need to restart span if we are drawing a line, or if we have a new swing high. Yeah. There we go. Be one of condition 1 bar is equal to true. condition 1 of embargo is equal to true. Alright, let me see. If condition 1 of embargo is equal to true, then we're going to span plus equal to 1. Alright, music. Alright, so if we get a new condition 1 equal to true, and we're going to restart the span. Yeah? Condition 1 of embargo is equal to true. What's the logic? What's the logic? We want to know if we have a new swing high that's greater than the high of bar before it. We're gonna you know what? I could just constantly add 2 span on every bar, and then just so happens if we do have a higher that's higher than the bar before it, then we're going to reset the span as equal to 0. So we wouldn't need this. There we go. Okay. All right, now these are the lines that I drew. So now all my lines are working properly. So now, what I was doing the other day was I tried to make an I tried to look at the values to get values for each one of these bars. So like say for instance this bar here, I want to say if this is below this trend line here, then what is the value here? The problem is that I didn't first identify that we actually had a trend line drawn. So we do have to say, and the trend line is equal to V2, right? So we have to say if V2 is greater than 0, then begin if, so we'll say something like, now that we have this trend line drawn, right? So from here to here, so this trend line drawn, now we want to look for this lowest point here, or we want to see this value here. It's got a volume higher than the volume before it. This one down here, it's got a volume higher than the one before it also, and it has a tail, and it's a bear. This one is a bull, this one is a bear. So let's do something like this. Let's say condition 3 is equal to volume, or the ticks is greater than ticks a bar ago, and the bottom wick is greater than, let's say 50% of the body, 0.5 times the range, and then we'll say n. So if V2, if the trend line exists, then we're going to look for this. And if condition 3 is equal to true, 3, then plot 3 low red default 4. Bam. Okay. So we got our values. Now we need to just make sure that style doesn't automatically connect that. However, that shouldn't be a line. That should be a point or something. Okay. Okay. So you see we're getting all these others over here too. So somewhere along the way there's a trend line that's way over. Yeah, this trend line here. The value for this trend line is over this, but value 2 is value 2 is greater than 0. Essentially just says that there is a trend line on the chart, which technically there's a trend line on the chart for every single bar, because, or it's not for here, but while the bar is created, there's not one from. I guess there is one for every single bar on the chart, essentially. Yep, you see this is created here. So, all right, let's do this. We just got to say that if there is a trend line on the chart, then we want to look for that. But we also want to say condition 4 is equal to the low is less than get value. TL get value of the trend line reference and the date and the time. So the trend line, the variable is V2, and the date and the time is the current date and time. So if the low is less, so if once this trend line is drawn, if any of these values is lower than this trend line, like this is, and these other things apply, these other things here apply, identified by these dots, then it will fire off, right? So you see this trend line here, this value is lower than it, and these other things fire off. So we just hit verify. That doesn't change anything until we put if condition 3 and condition 4. Condition 4, the low is less than the, yeah, well, that should have fired off. It's interesting that it didn't, so this low, this trend line has already been drawn, right? The trend line has already been drawn. This low is less than the value here, so let's see what the value here is. This is 626 at 1040. So I'm going to say if time equals 1040 and date equals 0626. Print the get value. Let's print the get value and see what it is. So it's coming up 550446. 550446. 550446 is coming up way up here. 55. Oh. 5504. What? 550446 is coming in way down here. One, that's not true because, well, oh, I bet it is extending this line here. I bet it's extending this line out. Something like that. It's extending that line out. And so the value that we're getting is on this line and not this line. Oh, I know why. I know why. Because, and this is where things just get interesting, is technically, I don't remember where we were. So you see how we have a dot here? This dot says that this is a swing high. You don't know that this is a swing high at 1250. You know at 1, 2, 3, 4 bars later, 4 bars later when that bar closes, you know that you have 4 bars that close underneath this high, or that have a high lower than this high. You only know that 4 bars later. So even though this swing high is identified here, it's not been plotted. It's not known until you get 4 bars later. So even though I'd really like to be back where we were. I know we were on 626. I remember saying that. So even though $626 at what time? 1040. Yeah. All right. 1040 right here. So even though this dot is right here, this one right here shows up on the 1, 2, 3rd bar later. No, shows up on the 2nd bar later. So this line has not even been drawn until we get 3rd, 4th bar. Till we get here, till we get to this line right here. Oh, this trend line hasn't even been drawn yet. So the trend line that is currently on the chart is the only one that you see, is this line right here. So the values of all the get values, all the values referring to any trend lines that's been created at this point is going to be based on this trend line right here. So this bar here is a long bearish bar with a volume greater than the volume before it. So let's do that. Let's try that. Volume greater than the one before it, and we'll just say this. I mean, it's a long bar, but it's not the range. The body is significant, full compared to the range. It doesn't have a lot of wicks on the top or the bottom like this and 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 this. So if we were to just code it based on that, we would say that like the body is greater than 85% of the entire range. Greater than 75%. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, this one might not even show up because this is on the 4th bar. Yeah, and I guess this bar has to close. So this would be the next bar. This would be the next bar to where we could really start making any type of code about it. And this volume is lower than the one before it. And it's almost an inside bar. Let's see. It's 55.26. I don't know if that's considered an inside bar because the high is equal to the high before it. So let's try that though. Let's try the what did I say? volume is lower than one forward. And this inside bar. I used to have a function for inside bar. Let's see, does that work? Yeah, it did work. All right, so there. But we needed to be, you see these red ones are firing off, and these are obviously not lower than this trend line here. So we need to make sure that we have condition 4 back into the mix. Ooh. And condition 4. Boom. Daughter's trying to get into the room. Having trouble. All right, so that is essentially the script that I wanted to put together the other day. So we have that now. Like I said, these would be long entries, but I think I need to do something like once you get one potential entry, it needs to shut off. So it needs to shut off until we get a new high here. All right, so if we get if this becomes true, if these two become true and we make a plot, then we're going to turn everything off after we plot. So then condition 1 equals false, condition 2 equals false. And condition 4 will always still give a value because we are just talking about the trend line. So condition 3 condition 3, oh, so we need to have one more. Let's say condition 5, condition 3 and 4, and condition 5. Then we're going to plot so if we draw a line, then we'll also in here we'll make condition 5 equal to true, and condition 5 will be turned off if we get our first data point. Boom. Okay, so now you only got the one data point, the one potential entry instead of most potential entries. Nevertheless, there is a amount of risk. I mean, again, I've said this time and time before, I don't think you can ever take a trade without some risk, right? So the question is, what is your risk? But I like this. I mean, at least for this day. I don't know how it turns out for other days. So is this viable to put into a strategy? I don't know. To make it into a strategy to automate? And this one would have failed, but again, this is after hours, so let's do so we're just making it only work during certain hours, which is, primarily institutional trading hours. Ooh, good gracious, look at that guy. right, guys. Well, that's what I came up with for today. Perfect practice makes perfect, so I'll just keep working on trying to get these strategies together. But I have to go back over this one because I think this one worked out pretty well. And I'm just going to do a screenshot for my practice. And yeah, that's it. All right, guys. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.